All right, and welcome to the Business Shower Podcast, a podcast for business owners to shine. I am your girl, Kelly Edwards, and today we have Rose. So, Rose, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Kelly. Thank you for having me on your show.
Awesome. So, tell our listeners who you are and what your business does.
Well, my name is Michele Rose Fortin, though my friends do call me Rose. And T Rose is my pseudonym or author name. My true business is my author work, though I do own a publishing company that I utilize to get my work moving forward.
Okay.
Because when I finished my first book, they told me that we don't really like to do addiction recovery books, big media. And I was like, okay. I had solicited, oh God, I don't even know how many literary agents. And I had more than one tell me that. But when I had like a top level literary agent tell me, and you got a great story, but nobody's going to take it. And I'm like, wow, okay. So you might want to try self-publishing. So I checked into that, and I found it was kind of expensive. And plus I wouldn't have any rights to my own work. And I was like, that's not going to work for me either.
Yeah. Okay. So you decided to start your own publishing company.
I did. I took the mindset that if I was going to spend that kind of money to have my book published, I might as well invest in myself. So I took and created Tiffy Rose LLC,
okay,
which is the publishing company. And I only really intended to write the first book. It is a memoir or non fiction of my life story from childhood through my years of addiction.
Okay.
And it had been so impactful that people are like, well, we want the rest of the story. I'm like, okay.
So then you decided you wrote another book. So you wrote your first book in 2018, right? And then
it published then. It took me 3 years to write my first book.
Wow.
And luckily I was so detail oriented.
Okay.
And I had a lot of the material already ready for the second book. And so it made that transition only about a year. But because of the publishing company, I was able to do that. And I have helped a lot of people through my author work.
Okay.
And my publishing company is been very beneficial. I am a state certified woman-owned business here in the state of Florida. Thank you. And the Tiffy Rose logo, wrong side, is a registered trademark for my, yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So, and, I've written or helped other writers publish their work. So it was quite a chore to learn how to be an actual publisher and all the software and creating a cover and, but it's been cool. I like a challenge.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. So you pretty much been in business for some time. Did the pandemic help you or did it hurt you?
It definitely hurt me, especially with the audience that I'm writing to, which are already financially challenged in many ways, right? If they're starting their life over into recovery, they definitely don't have a lot of money. Yeah. And if they are still in active addiction, they definitely don't, which is why I went forward with the nonprofit that I started a couple years ago to be able to get funds to help donate a lot of my material to help others, because it has been written not just as my story, but in a self-help way. And my newest work is actually listed as educational self-help material. So
Okay. All right. So, with you being I'm gonna say a Arthur, but are you also a drug and alcohol abuse counselor as well?
I'm not certified, though
Okay.
I do have staff that is,
Certified.
and
Okay.
and the psychological slant on any of it is part of the work is has been checked when verified that it was written correctly,
Mhm.
beneficially helpful to direct and guide somebody.
Okay.
So
Wonderful.
and I mean I spent years studying all the books that the therapists use.
Mhm.
I just wasn't going to spend 5 years to get a PhD stamped on my end of my
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's why. That's why I want.
It
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask. I was just like, okay, because I mean, that'll be a nice touch to it, you know. But okay, so we all know that being entrepreneur is a really tough road. So, in those difficult moments, how do you stay focused? How do you, um, keep your mind on the goal that you have at hand, which seems like it's helping people. So like how do you keep yourself motivated? Because I know, with a mom who suffered from drug and alcohol abuse, I know it's tough because we talk about this all the time. And, I always ask her, how do you stay motivated? Because I would want to pick up a drink, like especially with the stuff that, she's been going through. But, that's my number one question. How do you stay motivated?
Well, I thank you for that question. When I in that place of things are just not moving fast enough, right? It's either like a runaway freight train or dead stop. It hit a brick wall, and there seems to be no in between place.
Mm-hmm.
I just keep learning. I keep educating myself. I go and mow my grass. I mean, my grass was a foot tall until the other day when I went out there and mowed it. It was like, uh, just finding something to do. In the last couple of months, three months, I've lost about 15 pounds exercising, which is also partly because things aren't moving fast and I'm trying to stay motivated. Mm-hmm. Right. And writing, studying. I mean, like I said, I've spent the last 15 years studying all the material that the average PhD or social worker would study to pass their exams. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have the knowledge, I just don't have those letters after my name.
Yeah. I mean, you can always be a coach. I mean, you do not need a degree to be a coach. There's a lot of coaches out here that don't have degrees. And I personally feel that having real life experience is better than education. So you have real life experience. You can relate to what, you're speaking to the person about. Like you can relate. You can say, oh, I've been there. Trust me, So
and that is exactly what my newest work is focused on. And I do have a Facebook group that I coach and mentor. Awesome. I have for 3 years now. So, but yes, awesome. You're right. And my first goal set out to help my kids, right? Mm-hmm. Overcome that trauma, because I was in it for 25 years and out of it now 20. So I've gone from one extreme to the other, and the only way I knew how to help others was to start these businesses. Mm-hmm. In order to make that beneficial. The charity is helping with funding to take this information to the less fortunate. And my newest corporation, my media services, will be set up to do a lot of the video recordings of webinars or group seminars and stuff to also help others, with either myself speaking or others that, as you say, I have been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So just to go back to the question. So basically in the difficult moments, you basically keep your mind occupied. That's what it sounds like. You keep
I do, whether it's physical or work, walking the beach, finding something to stay busy, because getting lost in my own mind is it can be detrimental, right? I just get so frustrated, so angry at times, I have, and it's just not going fast enough. Forget it. Whatever money I've spent, who cares? I can go on and da da da. I mean, that lasts short.
Yeah. No, I get it. Okay. So do you have a biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Business-wise,
personal?
Well, business-wise, my biggest failure, I think, was being that I can't do this all alone, and I have to collaborate with others, especially on this newest book, because it is so technical. And from the PhD side of the fence, thinking that they could just run through this and give me all the information that I need to finish this newest book. And well, that just did not happen the way I thought.
Yeah.
So to overcome it, I had to really internalize that I'm not always in control, that wasn't what the Lord sent me out here to do in the first place, because it takes a lot of us to have all of our collective experiences to really make any significant change in what I'm trying to do. So
yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, that's great. I'm so glad. So glad you said that, because it kind of leads right into the next question, which is, are there any resources that helped kind of you along the way? So we know that you said that basically your biggest failure wasn't really a failure. It was a lesson learned, right? So because I don't call them failures. I just say that on the podcast because everybody answers the question the same way. They're like, yeah, well, this is what I learned from it. So I want to teach people that a failure is not really a failure. It's just a lesson learned.
Cool.
But with that being said, what resources helped you along the way?
Wow. The resources that really helped me along the way, as far as emotional fortitude, was all the research I did for the psychology and the sociology of mental illness, right? Because addiction is just a symptom of mental illnesses, traumas, and the such that we did not deal with, and they came out in the form of addiction, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't get that. So that material helped me the most as far as staying emotionally grounded. Resources, outside resources, as far as financial, some of the funding that I've gotten through my nonprofit, you can't really move that out of there for the business.
Yeah.
So a lot of my business funds came from my own personal retirement account. Okay. And so hopefully soon I'll be putting it back.
Yeah, and you will. We're going to manifest it. You will be putting it back soon. So my next question to you is, did you yourself have a mentor? So I know you are a mentor to others, but did you yourself have a mentor to help you in business and in personal?
I did. And I had a personal friend who went through many of the same struggles with a business entity that he tried to bring to the state with big changes.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 15 years ahead of his time on the solar thing, right? And they all poo-pooed it down, and he lost all kinds of money. But so in that lesson, or in his mentorship of telling me, you can't just rush things. Now, I'm an impatient person, so that lesson was a little hard to learn, but I did. Personally, my mentor, or the person that inspired me the most, would have been actually the nun that ran the Christian Life Skills Recovery Program in the county jail the last time I went through, and brought me here 20 years later to recovery. So
okay. All right. So it looks like you took your pain and you turned it and put it into something that essentially helps others, which seems like to be a theme for my show. I don't know. I don't know. It's just the universe actually just made this happen. So it seems like everyone, and every common theme of everybody that comes on the show is they went through some type of pain, some type of trauma, and it pushed them into entrepreneurship. And I love that. I really do, for everybody that's coming on here. I just wanted to make that statement real quick, because I don't think a lot of people notice that. And there are some people who are going through pain and trauma right now. And I just want to inspire them to look past it and kind of try to figure out a way that you can turn it into something positive,
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to one of your previous questions on how to stay motivated, right? Mm-hmm. Especially coming out of any kind of pain, trauma, staying motivated in whether it's, physically. I mean, I'm because of my past adventures, left me permanently disabled, right? And it's taken me years to be able to be strong enough physically to do a lot of the things that I can do today that I couldn't do 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like going out and mowing my lawn. And to take your personal pains of whatever they are, and then put it into doing something positive first for yourself, because all of this is created because I did want to help others, but it also helped me because it made me realize I can do, something where all those years in that other life told me you can't do anything. You're worthless. You're no good, and all of that stuff.
Okay. All right. So what do you enjoy most now about being an entrepreneur, and what do you think is the hardest?
What I enjoy the most is being able to have figured it all out. Right? All the legal stuff. And but I think I enjoy most the challenge of doing it. And I think my biggest challenge is in hiring some of the employees, and making sure that fit is just right, not just for me, but for them, right? Because not everybody, you want a job, but are you really motivated to
want to work?
Well, that too. Yeah. A lot of people want to get paid, but they don't want to work.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So what does the road look like ahead for your company?
Well, the three of them work together, and
Okay.
well, the fourth, including the author work, which is a separate entity all on its own, to take all of it and establish a recovery program that I can take and bring into the jails and the prison systems, first and foremost, juvenile centers, to help them with a recovery platform that the states will accept, because they don't have to really do any work to it, right? Here, we're like, here, let us do it for you, and just stand back and give us access.
Yeah.
And I think that's my biggest goal. That was my biggest reason for writing the first book, which I never expected to write after that, was bringing the awareness to the youth of today. Listen, this is what your path down the road is going to look like if you don't take this opportunity right here at 15 and like dump all this baggage, unweight it from yourself, and move forward with a different perspective.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping to be able to do.
And you will do it, because you're doing it for a good cause. And it's just, these kids today, they need this. They need this. It's so sad, you know. I don't even want to get into it, but I definitely hope that, you know, this happens for you. So before we wrap up, I do have a unique question that I usually ask all of my guests. What is the most important thing you learned in life? What was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after you learned it?
Most important thing I learned in my life was to not hold in that trauma, that pain. Now, sometimes it doesn't always come out the way it should, right? And it led me down some many dark roads trying to bury it, which was futile, because it just exasperated it. It just made the pain even that much worse. And learning that lesson, that I had to get that out, gave me the biggest release and relief when I finally did. And it has changed my life. And it has, in doing that, allowed me to help others change their lives. And that's given me the greatest joy. Of course, first, you know, breaking the generational dysfunction of my own family and children, and for my grandchildren now, which is and was my biggest goal of learning that lesson. I remember last summer, I was telling my granddaughter, she was laying on the beach, staring at the sky, and I went over to her and I said, don't hold it in. Whatever it is that's bothering you, don't hold it in, tell somebody. And the poor little thing just started bawling. And I think since then she's been better. So, you know, it was good.
Okay. So I heard you mention the beach twice. So you must live right by the beach in Florida.
I
do.
It's about an hour. I mean, about a mile from me. Yes.
Okay. So funny story. I was there last week. No, the week before last. I was in Florida, and I was in the water waist deep. And as I'm, you know, swimming and being in the water, all of a sudden I see a lot of people start getting out of the water. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Something told me to look down, and there was a little baby shark.
Oh, no.
Yes.
It's
scared. Scared the crap out of me. I still got in the next day, but yeah, I was very aware the next day, because it could have went left, but it didn't. I don't think the shark was hungry, because he passed a lot of people and went right back out into the water. So
they don't usually
attack.
You know, no, they really don't. Which coast were you on?
I was in Miami Beach.
Down in Miami. Okay.
Yeah, I was in Miami Beach. I don't know which coast that is, but I was.
Well,
I know
it's
I was
kind
in
of like on the tip, but it's actually the Atlantic side. So
okay. Yeah. It was a hammerhead. I was like, oh, I know that. I watched National Geographic. That was a hammerhead.
Well, I'm so glad he decided he wasn't hungry.
Yes, exactly. That was amazing. But it was you know how you always say you would like to see them in their elements? I actually got to see it so it was very eye-opening to me, but very scary at the same time because that's their habitat. I don't belong in the ocean. He belongs in the ocean. So I was in
that's not true. But like if you might have had a gold bracelet or something on your ankle, he might have been attracted to that. But because like fish are scaly, right? And it kind of has a reflection in the off their scales, and that's what tracks it.
And you know what? That is probably what it was because I did have something. I did have something on my wrist. Not on my wrist, but on my ankle. I might have been the issue, but I might have been the issue. But anyway, back to.
Well, I'm glad that you're safe, and
yes,
I appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely.
And you have a beautiful light about you, and I wish you much success with your show.
Thank you so much. So before we wrap up, tell our listeners how they can connect with you online.
Well, you can reach me at T.Rose Recovery, and it's abbreviated RCVRY on Facebook, Instagram. You can check out my website at Tiffy Rose, the number one, the word recovery spelled out.com. And you can always email me at rose@tiffyrose1recovery.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And until next time, everybody, peace.